Thank you very much. Okay, so thank you. All right, so let me introduce myself to you. My name is Renee Hobbs. 2 years ago, I moved from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, to be the founding director of a new school of communication and media at the University of Rhode Island, named after a generous benefactor, Dick Harrington, former CEO of Thomson Reuters, the 10th largest media company in the world, and a proud URI alum. We brought together 5 undergraduate programs in communication studies, film, media, journalism, public relations, and writing and rhetoric, with 3 graduate programs in communication studies, library and information studies, and writing and rhetoric. And it has been a fun 2 years launching this incredible new school. My background for the last 30 years, my research specialty is digital and media literacy. And so for about the last 30 years, I've been working in K-12 schools on all 5 continents, it turns out, working with teachers to integrate digital and media literacy into the K-12 curriculum, especially in the areas of English language arts, social studies, and health. And so over the years, I've created a lot of curriculum resource materials, offered a lot of professional development, worked for multiple years in school districts, including Worcester, Billerica, Massachusetts, where I started my career, and many other places. And so what I'd like to do in just the next half hour is reflect with you on how contemporary life with media and technology is changing and how we're managing those changes as educators, as parents, and as citizens. I want to talk about how literacy is changing as a result of changes in the nature of knowledge brought on by the rise of internet culture. I want to identify some key competencies of digital and media literacy. You've heard a little bit about how the DigiLit group is exploring that. And I want to share with you about how some others have integrated digital media literacy into the K-12 curriculum, and a little bit about what the research is showing about what difference it makes. So there we are, living in a blur, right? The blur that is the rate of change, right? Oh, it was only 8 years ago that this whole concept of social media really began to spring into our consciousness. Whoever would have thought we would be able to interact with our family members and our friends in this social way that we now do by posting pictures to our Facebook page. The rate of change around media and technology has been nothing short of stunning, and for all of us, that rate of change can be overwhelming. Because now we have these powerful tools of communication and media in our pocket, right? It's everything. It's not a phone, right? It's a powerful computing device. And it's a media production tool. And it's in my pocket. And it turns out that your 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders are using these tools just as much as you are, if not more. But of course, the nature of literacy and reading itself is the most fundamental of the literacy competencies. And yet, we're growing up in a world where we receive and share information using so many different tools. And the rise of YouTube and the way in which audiovisual media is becoming an important resource for learning as well as entertainment is absolutely undeniable. And so by the time I see your graduates as university students, there are some challenges that we face in moving them forward into life and careers. One is that in some ways, kids are participating in information and entertainment culture 24/7, not just in school, but outside of school as well. So lots of learning is going on outside of school. And one of the opportunities that we have with digital and media literacy is to make a connection between school and not school, between formal and informal learning. And that's pretty exciting because we want to cultivate the intellectual curiosity of young people so that they move through life open and receptive and able to navigate a sea of change, changing employment, changing careers, changing opportunities with the kind of innovation and entrepreneurial thinking that's going to be necessary for success. That being said, however you use media and technology, and here we're defining media as including 4 big categories: print media, visual media, sound media, and digital media. However you're using media and technology in your classroom will have a lot to do with your love-hate relationship with each of those forms. Because you're going to have attitudes and beliefs about print media, or about digital media, or about sound media, or about visual media, and those attitudes are going to shape the choices you make about what to do in your classroom. So it's really important as we begin thinking about helping young people, children and young people, to thrive in a media culture that's as intense and as fast-changing as the one we're living in. It's really important for us to reflect on our own complicated attitudes about media and technology, because our attitudes about media and technology will shape the choices we make. Now, that being said, if you're like me, you have a lot of attitudes of deep concern about media culture, because it turns out that media culture brings some risks, some dangers, some harms, and some real liabilities into the lives of children and young people. So when I was raising my children, I was absolutely aware of how their tendency to imitate what they experienced through media was evident. I observed how advertising shaped their drives and desires, right, for the latest this, that, and the other. And I noticed even how media culture made them think about what they wanted to be and what it meant to live the good life. And as a result, I was pretty tuned in to make responsible choices in my family for the wise use of media, the strategic use of media, including our weekly media Shabbats, our fast, where we step away from media use for a day in a week in order to recognize the complex role that it plays in our lives. But at the same time, I also recognized the real benefits, the real affordances of media and technology as a parent and as a teacher, and I was eager to make sure that my children got the best of what they could get from media and technology culture. And I think you're in this space, we're here because as educators, we want to balance the dimensions of giving students the resilience to manage some of the downside, the dark side of media and technology, while giving them the strength and the creativity to manage what technology and media do best. So that reflecting on our love-hate relationship with media and technology allows us to acknowledge technology's got plenty of downsides and plenty of affordances. And the choices we make as we use media and technology as educators will reflect our thinking about the benefits and the drawbacks. That being said, what I'm really talking about, pure and simple, is simply literacy. Literacy, as its term originated, started out to be speaking and listening, the skillful use of language to inform, entertain, and persuade. And then, Gutenberg brought us print literacy. And then the photograph, the camera, brought us visual literacy. And then the database, the powerful tool of the database brought us information literacy. And then the rise of cable television and the 500 channels but nothing to watch brought us media literacy. And then the desktop computer brought us computer literacy, because if you don't know what happens when you hit save, you are at a distinct disadvantage in the culture, right? You're going to have trouble if you don't understand the fundamentals of how computers work. And then thinking about whose voices are heard and whose voices are silenced brought us critical literacy, because communication is power. And not everyone in the culture has equal access to these powerful tools of communication and expression. And then the shifting nature of journalism is making us think about news literacy. And the rise of social media is making us think about digital literacy. But all these literacies, what does it mean? It means that humans share meaning, and we do it through symbols. And now we have so many different types of symbols and so many ways to share meaning. So preparing students for an ever-changing world of media and communication, for the jobs and the knowledge economy that go with it, mean expanding the concept of literacy across the whole lifespan, for our little ones, for our older ones, and especially for ourselves. So this expanding concept of literacy isn't just something that children and teenagers need. It's something we all need. So this idea that digital and media literacy is the sharing of meaning through symbols, and that now we just have a proliferation of ways we share meaning, puts some new obligations on us as teachers. So today you got to see an example of children's work in critically analyzing public service announcements, learning to create and synthesize information to compose a message. Let me show you a little bit about another group of children creating a public service announcement, this time in video form. Here's a group of 2nd and 3rd graders in Philadelphia. Let's see if I can get this to make this bigger. Let's see if I can make this bigger. There we go.
If we don't litter, our city will live. If we're not neat, our city will be clean. And our city to clean like a perfect dream. Keep Philadelphia clean.
Turns out it only takes 30 seconds to watch that PSA, but it took a little bit of time to compose it, to work together, to figure out the rhyme scheme, to practice with the video, to make sure to edit it carefully. It was a thrill when the children were able to share this video with their families, and where it even got posted to the City of Philadelphia's website for their anti-littering campaign. These children got to experience the power of communication to make a difference in the world, and that's pretty exciting for them. Let me share with you another example, this time from a group of high school students in Springfield High School, right outside of Philadelphia, suburban Philadelphia, where kids create media to share what they're learning about the use of primary sources in the research process for a history class. All right, it goes on for like 7 more verses. I'm not going to show you the whole thing. Kids making this got to exercise a range of creative and problem-solving skills in addition to learning about research. And of course, I'm really delighted to share with you another great example of a digital and media literacy project. That's a wonderful partnership with the PBS NewsHour called Student Reporting Labs. 50 high schools across America partner with PBS NewsHour, and students get a PBS mentor to come into a history or an English class and help kids create 3 3-minute packages that appear on this website, and some show up on the PBS NewsHour. We were very fortunate at the Media Education Lab with my colleague Jonathan Friesum, a doctoral student in education there, to do a 3-year evaluation of this program, finding statistically significant impact on kids' collaborative skills, on their writing and analysis skills. So we're pretty psyched about this project, and we're good friends with the folks there. I don't have time to show you this great example of kids learning to do literary analysis through using Remix, but trust me on this, it's a really cool opportunity. Right now, with our partner Said Tuzel from Turkey, we are having a great collaboration. Turkish 7th graders and 7th graders in a California school that we're consulting with are involved in a kind of pen pal exchange, you might say. But that pen pal exchange has a unique twist. After getting to know each other and understanding Turkish culture and American culture, children are critically analyzing the representation of schools and teachers in the media. Children are watching an episode or a piece of an episode of iCarly that features a school, and iCarly's in her high school, and they're critically analyzing an episode of Turkish TV that features school. And they're having, online, robust conversations about what's realistic and what's unrealistic. How does the media shape our understanding of school? Because long before children get to high school, they think they know what high school's about because of what they've seen and learned in the media. A perfect opportunity for kids to think about how the media shapes our understanding of the social world, our understanding of people who are different from us, and that through digital media, we can actually connect at an individual level with people all over the world. So exciting. So this concept of literacy that we're talking about really involves accessing information, analyzing it, creating it, reflecting on its significance, value, and impact, and then doing something, using the power of information and communication to make a difference. So I don't have time, because my time is scarce, to talk to you in depth about all this stuff, but I want to give you a little brief on why these skills are so important and why they're really rooted in traditional literacies. So at the heart of being a good reader is being able to make meaning from symbols. And so these fundamental skills of accessing information and identifying information needs and being able to use tools are really deeply tied now to comprehension. The ability to analyze will always be central to the practice of learning critical thinking. But now we see the rise of creativity. As the examples that I've shared with you and the examples that you saw Sue share show what happens when kids get to access these tools to create media, to document and represent their emerging understanding and their ideas. And this very important process of reflecting on the impact of the messages we create and share, on reflecting on the way in which our communication with others has impact. Because through communication, we can uplift and we can inspire and we can tear down and we can denigrate. And the reality of it is, all communicators have ethical responsibilities and social responsibilities. We think it's time to start teaching about that very early and throughout the elementary, middle school, and high school years. How to apply ethical judgment and social responsibility to communication situations. And of course, how to use that powerful tool of communication to be a citizen in a democracy, because self-governance depends on it, depends upon us using our powerful communication skills to make a difference. So in the last minute or two, I want to talk a little bit about what happens when educators integrate digital and media literacy into the curriculum. Based on the 30 years of research that I've done in other K-12 schools, we can say that for sure, kids who get a media literacy curriculum in high school English class have increased reading, comprehension, writing, and analysis skills. When we move to incorporate other media forms besides the printed word into the English curriculum, we actually see an improvement in reading comprehension and writing skills. We also have pretty good research data on how digital and media literacy, when embedded in existing subject, when layered on to existing subject matters, increases engagement and motivation, improves perspective taking and global understanding, and inspires intellectual curiosity. We also, from our work in the Philadelphia elementary schools, have discovered how digital and media literacy, when layered into existing instruction, can increase civic knowledge and civic engagement and confidence in self-expression. And finally, we also know that by helping students understand their ethical and social responsibilities as communicators, that it can increase their understanding of the law and increase their respect for their legal rights and responsibilities as communicators. So, my experience about how this actually happens is that there are 6 important steps in thinking about what digital and media literacy looks like layered into an existing program. One is something Sue talked about at the very beginning, which is find good partners. This is a team sport. You can't do it alone, right? So find a partner who can help you on your journey. Then prioritize your goals. Set small, doable goals that allow you to step into the space and do something to start the journey. And then start driving. Turns out that part of the professional development experience of integrating digital and media literacy into your curriculum is to see what happens when you actually do it. And just adjust as you go, just like driving a car. It's important for educators to measure the impact, to see the difference that digital and media literacy makes in the curriculum. How does it change the way students are engaged? How does it accelerate their intellectual curiosity? How does it make students remember, learn, and apply to make connections between school and life? It's super important to tell your story, which is why all those 5 books all feature stories of real elementary school students and teachers, middle school teachers and students, and high school teachers actually doing it. Because telling your story is part of your obligation as educators to make education as meaningful and as relevant for the next generation as we can. And finally, I think this is really important. Like any kind of change initiative, change takes time. So my experience with digital and media literacy is that it takes time to grow. Now, that being said, what I've done today is talk to you a little bit about how media is changing, how literacy is changing, what media literacy actually might look like, those 5 skills: access, analyze, create, reflect, and act. And I do invite you to come join us this summer in Providence at the Summer Institute in Digital Literacy. Anybody who wants a flyer, I brought some flyers. It's going to be held the week of July 13th through 18th, and we have a lot of fun. We combine play and learning, but I guarantee that when you get done with this week, you come back with a lot of tools in your toolkit that will inspire you to have an incredible fall semester. Thanks so much for the opportunity to share and learn with you today.